What's up, gang, and welcome back to the Cuban Mile Podcast.
That's
quarter mile podcast. That's what we meant. We did the Cuban Mile this month as we've reviewed, and I guess we're reviewing right now, but we watched The Fate of the Furious, the 8th movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. So if you are here now, this is us being 8 episodes in. It's been 14 years. No, it's been 8 months.
8
great months since we started this podcast, rewatching all the Fast and Furious. And we are rating and reviewing, interacting with you guys when you watch or listen to us, but also come find us on all the social medias. We are at the Quarter Mile Podcast on all the things. Except TikTok. What are we on TikTok, Bailey?
Quarter Mile Podcast.
Just Quarter Mile Podcast, because they hate us, but not as much this month. They've been enjoying the Furious 7. So we've had a really great month in the Quarter Mile Podcast world. We had our first sponsor come in and help donate to us, so that's pretty cool. And it's just a reminder, if you guys love what we do and want to help support what we do, there is a way that you can either do a one-time donation or you can do a monthly donation as much or as little, as $1. There's other options. We'll take all your money if you want, but you don't have to. But we do appreciate everyone that helps donate to the podcast. It helps us with new equipment. It helps us with getting the episodes out there and trying to promote more to get a wider audience. And man, it would be super nice if we started an account to create a Furious Weekend national holiday. It only takes $10,000 is what I've looked at. I mean, there are so many better causes.
It only takes $10,000.
Just $10,000
to your local charity.
We're very excited about our next episode because we are doing our first ever live episode recording in Memphis, Tennessee at the High Tone on September 21st. We will be going over Furious 9, or I guess F9 is what they call it. That's the movie that apparently everybody hates, like across the board. And you haven't seen it yet, right, Bailey? Nope. Well, I'm so excited for you to watch this and to see if it would be so weird if Bailey is like, this is actually my favorite one. This was they hit the mark on this movie. So we'll see. But
interesting. I don't know about that one.
You don't know about that one? It's fine. It's okay. We'll get to it. That's next month. But we would love for you to come if you're in the Memphis area at the High Tone. It's a free event. We will accept donations, but also we've never done a live episode recording.
So share this experience with us.
So yeah, come join us.
Come join the human experience at High Tone.
It'll be fun. There's also a comedy show happening afterwards. There's a roast battle. I'm in a roast battle.
That's right.
I'm bringing 2 of Nashville's best comics to
support Drew in roasting.
It'll be something. Anyway,
so if anything,
it'll be something. But we were talking about how Fast 9 is currently everyone's least favorite Fast and Furious movie, and that's based off an ongoing poll that we've been doing since the first episode, since before the first episode. And it occurred to me that we haven't talked a lot on our podcast about the ongoing poll unless we've said like, hey, we have an ongoing poll.
That's true.
So I wanted to share with you guys some of the results. We are going to be doing this all the way up to episode 10. We have been ranking the movies per each episode, and I'm going to give us permission on the 10th episode to completely redo our rankings if we want. So
cool.
You don't have to, but we can. But currently, here's how it stands, and this doesn't count me and Bailey's rankings yet. But currently, in the number 1 spot movie, everyone's favorite based off of popular vote is Fast 5, which currently has 541 points. The second favorite is The Fast and the Furious, as in the first movie, which is at 534 points. So they're pretty close. They've been alternating all that. And I'm not going to read all the point scores, although we'll have a little thing where you can see it over here. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to us, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's okay. We're glad you're still here. But in third place, we have Furious 7. Fourth place, Too Fast, Too Furious. Fifth place, Tokyo Drift. Sixth place, Fast and Furious 6, which is kind of interesting because it's the 6th movie in the 6th spot. 7th place, that's not interesting to literally anybody on earth. I said that like, hey, it's a cool fact, and people were like, no, that's anyway.
It is.
Thank
it's
you.
So interesting.
So the most interesting 7th place is Fast and Furious, the 4th one. That one was rough. So, eighth is the one we're doing today, The Fate of the Furious. And then 9th place is Fast 10 with only 204 points, which is pretty low. But then holding down the 10th spot confidently is F9, which has a solid 154 points. So, if you like those, I mean, like, we'd love to hear you. Just come DM any of our socials, shoot us a message. There's even a fan mail option now and we had our first fan mail last month actually, from Collinsville, Illinois. And all she was saying was Fast 7 is the best in the series and it should have ended here. With that being said, I still watch the movies after 7. Yeah, I feel like we agreed in the last episode. So whoever you all in Collinsville, Illinois, thank you for that response.
Thank you.
We'd love to hear your opinion on Fast 8 if you're currently listening. But anyway, so there was that. In case you're wondering, if you're watching us, you saw this. If you're listening, this again has nothing to do with your life. I had a huge spit wad on my microphone, and it was very distracting, and so I rubbed it. But if you heard a staticky whatever, just know it would have been worse if I'd kept it there for me. Anyway, okay.
Just spitballing.
Just spitballing over here. We're just spitballing it, see what is going on. So who knows if that's going to make it to the podcast.
It is going to make it to the podcast. This is what makes our lives.
So before we move on, just for we already shared our cool fan mail, and we'd love for anyone to share some more fan mail. Let us know what you're thinking. It's as easy as pressing a button on whatever you're listening to, unless you're watching us on YouTube, but then you can just drop a comment. It's basically the same thing.
If we hit 30 by the time that we're done, I will sing you the Blues Clues we got mail, or just got a letter song.
Yes.
The original one. Just so you know.
I did not realize there was multiple versions. But
they came out with a new Blues Clues. I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, that's not worth our podcast time. So
no.
30 fan mails in the next 2 or 3 episodes, and we'll get a full song for it. I think that's great. We had a reel where we showed talked about Mr. Nobody, and we posted on TikTok. And our one of our favorites, Niall Stark, responded on it. He says, "I have to confess, I've never trusted Mr. Nobody. I feel like he's the final villain twist waiting." And I thought that would be so cool.
That would be cool.
That would be. And my vote is that the villain from 8, and we'll talk about it more later, Cipher. It should be behind all the things that are going on, because she kind of is establishing this villain as a big bad. But it would be funny.
It's true.
Because Mr. Nobody is like psychotic in this one. He's unhinged. They're literally infiltrating his base of operations. They're like, how about that? That's actually right here. Not like, hey, let's move and leave and not get blown up. He was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Or like when they just realize they have to go against Dominic Toretto. They have all these high tensions because their main guys left him, and he's like, well, have a ball in New York. Have a ball in the Big Apple. He's having a blast. He loves his job. I
honestly think that Mr. Nobody is kind of like Switzerland in this whole thing, where he's kind of like antagonist Switzerland, where he's like, yeah, fire, flames,
if it
go.
If it was a Dungeons and Dragons character, he'd be chaotic good.
He'd be chaotic good.
Yeah.
He's Mayhem from the commercials.
That scene when The Rock and Jason Statham is breaking out of prison, and they make it to the end, and they see Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, well, it took less time than I thought. It's like, police officers were just murdered. Prison outbreak. There are probably criminals, and he's just like, hey, gang, let's go bebop over here and save the world.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, though. The fact with the whole prison break situation, and they were literally shooting at them with bullets that weren't bullets.
Right.
It was like a high security.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking about.
Why were they rubber bullets?
That seems like a terrible place for rubber bullets.
Like, you had like terrorists that were under lockdown, and he's like, a rubber bullet. Oh, that's a bad mistake. And I'm like, why is it a rubber bullet?
Yeah, why aren't you using real guns in this high stakes prison?
What are you doing? It's got to be a hoax.
Yeah. Maybe you know what? The reason is they're like, we need this movie to continue, so let's not kill The Rock off in this high stakes prison.
Yeah, that's gonna be too expensive.
But at the same time, you're right. That seems like a great place for some real bullets. That's funny. So the movie came out in 2017. I remember seeing this movie in theaters. I was in seminary. I went out with one of my seminary friends. We did the whole Fast and Furious marathon, and then we went and saw the movie. And then driving back, he got a speeding ticket. And I remember making the joke, I guess you're Fast and Furious now. And that was not the right time for that amazing joke, because it just made him faster and furiouser. But I do remember I've had a story for almost all the movies, except one. I was like, I don't even remember what was going on during this year. But that's my 2017 Fate of the Furious story. What were you doing in 2017? You know I'm going to ask you this question every month.
I was 16, so I got my license. I got my driver's license.
Do you remember
Don't copyright that.
Do you remember the first place you went once you could drive on your own?
Probably a Sonic.
Same. I was in high school. That was legitimately the first place I went to as well. Yeah, that's what you do.
It was like a Sonic or a Taco Bell, because I know, like, in Milan, Tennessee. I don't live there anymore, so I can say it. Mm-hmm. It literally, there was a Taco Bell before it burnt down, but it didn't burn down. It caught fire, but then it didn't burn down. But yet they still made another Taco Bell and put it across the street, because that makes sense.
Every city needs a Taco Bell. Every time it's in the Bible that it was like, thou shalt have a Taco Bell.
As soon as you get into the city, though, from leaving my parents' house, so it was like the first thing you see. Minus the church. So it's like, do you want Taco Bell or do you want Jesus? Or do you want both? Because most of the time it was both.
I feel like in the bathroom of Taco Bell there's been a lot of prayers.
Oh God, save me. Were you a real Christian if you didn't like Taco Bell?
I don't think so. If someone ever says they don't like Taco Bell, I don't think I trust them.
Yeah.
And I used to be a church worker. If I was giving a kid to a youth pastor that said they didn't like Taco Bell, I wouldn't feel safe with my kid in that youth group. That would be a deal breaker for me. So I'm glad speaking of Taco Bell. In this movie, so it came out in 2017, like we said, we have a lot of the regular cast returns. The add-ons were, sorry if I mispronounce her name. I'm basically illiterate, but Charlize Theron playing Cipher, the main villain, and Scott Eastwood playing Little Nobody. That makes sense. What do we think about Little Nobody? This was controversial.
I'm assuming he's related to Clint.
Yep.
Eastwood.
Very true.
Yes, no, maybe
yes.
So, maybe. I thought so, because they definitely have like the same face.
Yeah.
I was like, something's similar here. Then I figured it out. But I don't know. He's okay, I guess. He just seems like one of the guys that joined the football team at the end of the year.
He's like, I'm on the football team. I'm one of the guys. He's going around telling people, like, yeah, I'm a star of Fast and Furious. I'm in the franchise.
Why did he break? He didn't. He's like, break the rules, and he like broke the glass. I'm like, I get it, but you could have opened it. Like, I mean, you could have just been like, you can actually take any car you want. But this time, he just broke the glass. I mean, I get it.
Seemed like they probably were like, that seems excessive. Someone's gonna have to clean that up.
Somebody's gonna clean it up. Exactly, it's glass.
Yeah,
but they don't care. They're nobody.
So the rumor behind Little Nobody is that when he was put onto this movie, he was supposed to be like almost like replacement Paul Walker.
I figured.
Yep. And so there were like some similarities in the car that he drove. It was like a Brian O'Connor-esque car. Also being a lawman who's like realizing by the end of the movie that sometimes you need to break the rules. Like it was, and also
redundant.
Also like both of them were friends in real life. So it was like a cool fitting thing. But if that's the case, it seems like it was very terribly received.
Yeah.
I think he eventually has a small part in Fast 10, according to people from Reddit. I have forgotten about that, but that's what they said. We don't see him in Fast 9, and I don't think anyone like misses him. Anyone's like, yeah. So, but I think that was an interesting idea to try, but I think they could have done it way better.
Yeah. I mean, he seems like he would have been a good character, and he's a good actor. It's just the story placement of everything seemed kind of off. I don't know. It's like a little bit too soon there, bro.
Yeah, I think
read the room.
there's no way anyone could have been a replacement Paul Walker and done it well.
Yeah, especially at that, like, if you're gonna do it at the very end or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely.
Make it a little bit more of a bang.
And
I don't
speaking
know.
of the end, that it was weird to me how like they tried to give respect to Paul at the end, where like he was like, "I'm finally gonna." This is my perfect Vin Diesel impression.
Right.
I'm finally gonna name my baby. I'm gonna call him. He called him Brian.
Yeah.
But in the movies, Brian is still alive, maybe on his way to the barbecue or out hanging with Mia. He's not dead, so it's like I'm gonna name him after my sister's husband, who's also still alive. Maybe even living in that house. Well, their house blew up. I forgot about that. But like,
Right.
But like, they could have maybe said name him Paul, but maybe that just doesn't roll up. I'm gonna name him Paul. I don't know if that works. So, what did you think of Cipher, the character,
The blonde chick?
Yeah, the blonde chick.
She's cool. She was crazy. I don't know, actually. She kind of has mixed reviews to my brain, honestly, because I feel like I'm watching a little bit of the Snow White and the Huntsman of the Evil Queen
Right.
vibes.
Making Vin Diesel the huntsman.
Yeah,
Love that.
but also like mixed with like Valkyrie or something, like a Viking, because she's got those dreads going on.
That was an
I'm kinda
interesting choice. I don't
confused.
know why they were like, let's make her evil. I know. Dreads.
Let's do the dread. Let's look at Game of Thrones, because like Rachel had mentioned that that guy was
Yeah,
from
the
Game
dude
of
was
Thrones.
from Game of Thrones,
So just through the whole thing, I was kind of just sitting there like, I don't know. I feel like I'm watching one of Vin Diesel's like X movies or something.
Right, the triple X movies, yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of like actually Fast and Furious, because the whole thing is practically the plot line about this guy fighting against this evil chick. But this evil chick's like off the rails, but also kind of predictable with everything she's doing,
Right.
because we've already seen practically everything that she did.
And her motivation was so weird. She was like, I want to steal this missile to hold the world accountable.
She was gonna already do
It's
what
like,
she
you could probably
did.
do a lot more with the technology you were representing.
But I don't know what she was doing, honestly. Like, they had literally one of those, what is it called? Where it was like the thing that he went into Russia with to like stop all of the electric stuff.
Yeah, they turned off.
wave.
They turned off all the.
Crap, what is
yeah.
that called?
An EMP.
Yes,
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You can do so much with that. And what did she do after that with it? I don't know.
Did
Nothing really that
all
important.
yeah, that was what she used to
That's
get
like
into
it.
the secure
That's
facility.
all she did
Yeah.
with it, was to use it to get into this.
to get the nuke.
You could do so. I like to get the nuke. Yeah, at least do something with it and the nuke. I don't know. Maybe that's too crazy.
I think they could
Too
have given her
budget
more.
crazy?
I think they could have given her like a more evil, dastardly plan.
She confused me.
But I liked the idea of her character. I was tracking with the
She-
character.
Was definitely hands down to me the best villain so far.
Yeah.
Because the depth and the quality of just the maniacalness.
Yeah.
And how she was. But at the same time, she's also just like predictable.
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah.
She's predictable.
She had about the personality of like a rug. And not even like a fancy rug, like one of
Yeah.
those mats that just say welcome home. She
but with a sad face,
Well,
no, an angry face.
not welcome home.
You're not
Welcome home, but not this one. That would have been an interesting mat, though. Maybe I don't
with
know.
a bomb on
Yeah, right. So- and the Viking man just shaking his fist. This movie was directed by F. Gary Gray, who's known mostly for Friday, Straight Outta Compton, and The Italian Job.
What was the other guy doing?
Justin Lin? He comes back for the 9th movie. He directs that, but then he doesn't do the 10th. I think he originally wanted to be done by the 6th movie. Paul Walker talked him into the 7th movie. And it was because he was like, do you know how much we're being paid for this? Like, let's do let's and then so that was like he was done, and then we'll get to it later, but potentially a rumor is when he knew the 9th movie didn't have The Rock in it, he was like, okay.
Wait, the 9th movie doesn't have The Rock in it?
No.
Oh.
No, he gets a spinoff from this. Well, that's another fun thing. If you're listening to this podcast, this is the episode where we go into detail about the beef between Vin Diesel and The Rock and you can comment below or send us fan mail about your opinions of it all, because
Please.
it's all a little murky. We can give our opinions and we can read the stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just two alpha males fighting it out.
I do love the good tea.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like I'm reading high school drama. So
It has nothing to do about me.
yeah, so, no.
Best stuff.
Give us an intro into the AI plot summary that I can cut to.
All right.
I meant like something like, hey, here's the AI plot summary. But I guess a click with your mouth is just as good.
Okay, fine. Let me do this. And action.
Still not what. Okay, yeah, perfect.
It's true. Fine. Here's the AI plot summary. All right, folks, buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. We're shifting into high gear and taking it up to a notch with the most action-packed, adrenaline-fueled, and downright explosive installment of the Fast and Furious franchise yet. This is a lengthy sentence. The Fate of the Furious. Wow, that whole thing was a sentence. Goodness.
AI needs to work on a grammar.
Golly. Sorry.
Maybe they were just so excited to talk about Fast and Furious that they forgot good punctuation.
Gosh.
I get like that sometimes.
It was rough. This ain't your grandma's road trip, so strap in tight and let's hit the gas. Okay. Dom Toretto, the king of the streets and the heartthrob of the highways, that's debatable, has gone rogue. That's right. The guy who always preached about family has turned his back on his crew and joined forces with the best of the bad girl. Cipher. I said bad girl, but you get it. The cyber terrorist bombshell has got Dom wrapped tighter than a roll cage in a rally car, and he's ready to burn some serious rubber to get the job done. I mean, y'all need to watch the movie, because I don't think this AI thing has it right. But don't count out the old crew just yet. Roman, Tej, Letty, and the rest of the gang aren't about to let Dom drive off into the sunset without putting up one hell of a fight. And they've got some new tricks up their sleeves and some fresh faces on their team. Enter Deckard Shaw, the tough as nails, take no prisoners, former British Special Forces assassin with a serious score to settle. He's not technically new, but he is new to the team. This guy's got more gadgets than a Swiss Army knife and can take down bad guys like they're bowling pins.
Great writing.
I'm not quite. Okay. And let's not forget about Mr. Nobody, the charming but deadly government agent who's always playing both sides against the middle. Yeah, that's true. Actually, this dude fickled. With Dom behind the wheel of Cipher's crew, the stakes are higher than ever. From the icy streets of Iceland to the concrete jungle of New York City. I thought Iceland was grassy.
No, yes, it is. Yeah, Iceland is the grassy.
So they were in
Greenland
Iceland? Interesting.
Were they in some Arctic place? I don't know if they were in Iceland. I think they were on ice. AI took a lot of.
It's taken some liberties.
Yeah, that's
to
cool.
the concrete jungle of New York City. I don't forget that one fact about Iceland and Greenland.
It's from the Mighty Ducks. Is that where you got it? Mighty Ducks 2, where the hot lady was like, Iceland has grass.
That's grass.
Greenland is icy.
The action never stops and the thrills never end. Ain't that right, Drew?
So right.
Think car chases, explosions, fist fights, and enough twists and turns to leave your head spinning like a donut in a parking lot.
Delicious. Oh, wait, not that kind of donut.
Sprinkle me with fun.
Nice.
But at the heart of it all, it's still about family.
It's true.
Can Dom find his way back to the good guys? Or has he crossed a line that can never be uncrossed? Will the crew be able to stop Cipher and her evil plans, or will they get left in the dust? And what's up with Dom and Letty? Are they on again or off again?
I think they're married.
I'm pretty sure they're not. I think they're married. Hello. Beyonce knows it best. The Fate of the Furious is more than just an action movie. It's an experience. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions, a fire hose of adrenaline, and a healthy dose of good. and a good. No. And a healthy dose of good old-fashioned cheesy fun. I'm laughing because this thing's just so interesting. So grab some popcorn, buckle up, and get ready to ride shotgun with Dom and the crew on their wildest adventure yet. You know, the end of that, though, for real, because it's just Dom. The entire movie is practically like... It's about Dom.
Yeah.
This should be called The Revenge of Dom. I mean, there's a lot of other Star Wars references I could technically make. You could just replace it with Dom's, like, name.
Yeah.
Technically. Like, Last Hope could just be Dom reaching his hand out to
Attack of the Toretto.
Yeah. Exactly.
This movie bored me until about midway into it. And then I really liked the action sequences and the fun, like... car chases, and like once they were on the Iceland, Greenland area, that was a fun, like that was cool to just all those
was
scenes.
Pretty cool.
That was action packed
because it was pretty icy.
I did like the intro where they had the Cuban Mile and they reminded us like,
Yeah.
oh, remember when these movies did races? Like that was
cute. That was like a callback.
Yeah. So and it was interesting to me. I don't know if they did this on purpose or if I was just reading into it, but like everything Dom was doing seemed to be a reaction to like Brian O'Connor in the first one, where he was like, I just want your respect. And he's like, respect means a lot of things. Or like, or like when he was like, that's the car you're going to be. He's like, sometimes it's more about the driver. And like back when Brian O'Connor had a car and stuff like that. So here's some feedback that people share with us about this movie.
Lovely.
Which always, again, you guys we love hearing what you have to say. We always want to hear your responses. We check in. However, the next movie, we'll still hear your responses, but we have a very special thing that we're going to do when we're doing F9. We'll ask people's feedback who are in the audience and stuff like that. And instead of an AI review, I have a friend who's coming to be a guest on it who's never watched any of the Fast and Furious movies. And I'm just going to ask him to give us his opinion or his plot summary of
amazing.
F9 with no context of any other movies.
That's amazing.
And it will be very funny.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And because he's messaged me a few times like, should I watch the other? I'm like, no, absolutely not. So anyway, so this first comment is from our friend Zach from Facebook, just in talking about Fast 8. He said, I really liked the plot change to add some mystery to Dom's motivation and try to figure out what exactly was happening with him. I mean, like, his son was kidnapped. He was his family. We get to see, we get some more of the awkward love triangle between Dom, Elena, and Letty with a devastating ending. I am glad they brought back that creepy love triangle between them. That's so weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
We keep adding to the family and calling back to more family members who somehow managed to shield Dom from a nuclear blast between 4 vehicles.
Yeah.
That's true. That's not how cars and nuclear blast works. And it's even like she went through all this trouble to get a nuclear blast or nuclear bomb, but the blast didn't stop the 4 cars that were like protecting Dom. Seems like she should have used more of that EMP, like you were saying.
That's what I'm saying.
It's what we've come to expect of the movies, though. Crazier stunts, unrealistic outcomes, plenty of drama and action.
Yeah.
We also get to see the bromance mature between Hobbs and Shaw as they fight their way out of prison, only to wind up coming together in testosterone oneness. I love that. I think next time I'm in an argument with a friend who's a male, I'm like, I just think we need to come together in testosterone oneness.
Wow.
And then they'll be like, I don't think I want to have this conversation anymore. And I will have lost a friend.
Family.
Right. Here were we had a lot of comments. If you guys feel like checking it out, like our post on Reddit, like everyone on earth was giving us, they're still posting opinions about the Fate and the Furious. And here were some of my favorite shorter ones. Maverick said, loved Cipher's hair in this one. The dreads really worked. Charlize is a great villain. Chloe and Timmy, I don't know which one of you wrote this comment, really underrated in my opinion. I really enjoy most of the set pieces. I think the interplay between Hobbs and Shaw to be very good. Loved the prison scene, and the entire third act on ice is really fun. That makes it sound like it's a musical performance. Fate and the Furious on ice.
Imagine.
Also, respect any fast movie that's killing a character rather than bringing one back to life. Amen. I'd like to pretend those movies have stakes somehow. At this point, every time a character dies in Fast and Furious, I'm like, we'll see.
Right.
I'm not even too sure Elena's dead. Like, I mean, like, she might come out. Actually, I was in charge of the whole thing. Me and my nice smile. And then the username didn't make a username, responded with, it's actually not that bad, which is always a great way to start talking about anything. Like how's that new girlfriend? She's not that bad. So, it's actually not that bad. I like the redemption arc of Shaw, even though it's kind of weird since he still killed their friend.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That is a very good point.
No one, and we talked about this in the last movie, at no point was anyone like, hey, remember Han? We're still bummed about, like, hey, don't trust him. He killed our friend. Huh. They're like, oh. I will say I did enjoy his backstory, which made him seem like where he was like framed for the corruption, fired, and dishonorably discharged, stuff like that. It was believable to me.
It was pretty believable.
I was okay with it when I watched, because I really don't like how they redeem all the characters and join the family. Like, pick a few of them. Sure, Shaw would be a good one.
Shaw's a good one.
But like, at some point, it's like some people just need to be bad and evil. Some people need to stay dead, that kind of stuff.
Stay dead.
But I found his story as to why he joined up with the crew honestly more believable than Hobbs. Hobbs, at some point, I'm like, that scene where he's like, after this beer's on me. I'm just like, okay, you guys aren't that close.
That's weird.
Like, you two are very different in your
You just
beliefs.
destroyed an entire place, and then you let the criminals go.
But hey, seems like a great time for a drink. Probably, after all that carnage and failure, it probably is a great time for a drink.
Exactly. Join the family.
Fast 11, Hobbs the alcoholic. So
it's because of Vin Diesel's beef.
And then here's a different opinion than what a lot of people said. This person said also he didn't make a username. I'm beginning to think that's actually when people don't make usernames. They just comment. That's how little I know about Reddit. He said, I liked Little Nobody. Kind of wish they kept him as a running character for 9 and 10. Okay. So maybe he'll come back in 11. Maybe he'll be the anchor to their ship of success.
Anchor to their nothingness.
Nothingness, yeah.
For nobody.
Listen, nobody still, every scene he was in, and I still laughed. I think he's like my favorite part of the movies in a weird way. Not like, if you were asking me, like, what's your real favorite part of the movie? I wouldn't say Mr. Nobody. But if you're like, what part brings you the most smiles of the randomness in the movies?
Mr. Nobody?
Every scene, anytime he opens his mouth, I'm like, I want to go hang out with this guy.
Yeah, he's just got one of those familiar faces.
Yeah, like he just doesn't care. Like he's just like, I don't know. He might, according to Nala Stark, he might be the villain by the end.
He's also just comfortable wherever he's at.
Yeah.
He's like, if it goes, it goes.
Yeah, he's like, let's go try to stop this international terrorism. We'll see what happens.
But like, maybe let's start it.
Or like, let's keep it going. So, you know how I'm going to stop this international terrorism? Hire terrorists.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Perfect.
It's like, what's the worst that can happen?
Fire
More
with
terrorism?
More terrorism.
So those were other people's thoughts. What was your, in general, loves, hates, likes, dislikes, thoughts, prayers, condolences?
I think my biggest dislike was the naiveness of the family.
Yes.
Because they were like, oh my god, Dom just left us for this girl and she's kissing on him and he's kissing on her. Even though he had just gotten back from his honeymoon. They also just had something pretty traumatic happen. B. And then also you just came back from Cuba? Was it Cuba?
Yeah, they were in Cuba.
C. Okay, cool.
C for Cuba.
C for Cuba. And then you've also got a new villain that just entered the squad, and y'all don't even know what the heck's going on here. I mean, Dom just left randomly, and also is being pretty freaking weird, and saying to Letty, you'll know at the end, or something, or I'll be back at the end, or something to that nature. And I'm just like, bruh. Come on. First, Letty, bro, you lost your memory and then you came back. So you're one to judge, okay? But seriously.
Yeah, come on, Letty.
Like, I just don't understand how it's like the whole premise where they're like distrusting over this whole situation or whatever, because he's not hurting any of them whatsoever.
This movie's, the plot was like, I digged the action sequences, but the plot was kind of boring to me.
Kind of loose.
Which is kind of interesting because the people I watched it with, and this is their first watch through, they were like, this was the best one. So it's just kind of fun to see. And that's what I've been noticing with like doing the ongoing poll is everyone has strong and different opinions about what the best one is and stuff like that. So it's really kind of your style. But for me, the things that I liked about it were like the action sequences were super fun. Like I enjoyed that. Kind of at the end, like one of the comments was like the third act of the movie was when I was like, okay, I'm digging this. But I think they could have done the overall plot differently to make it more interesting, because they should. I mean, at any point they could have been like, this seems a little bit off. Maybe someone call Elena. Where's she at? Maybe The Rock, who works with her, is like, hey, I haven't heard back from my second in command. Let me check. Oh my goodness, she's kidnapped. Maybe that's why Dom's acting so weird. Or at some point, maybe he could have like dropped it. Even if he couldn't drop a hint to them, which was as much work as he did to connect with Shaw's family, I think he could have like sent them kind of a.
I mean,
I get he was risking it, but like he's been through similar.
He's already been risking it,
and they should have been like, something's clearly wrong here. And so maybe the better plot move would have been if throughout the series or throughout the movie they know something's wrong and they're trying to figure it out and they're asking him to open up and like let him work with, but he's too like concerned with them, but also with, and also they could have made Cipher a more scary villain to make that, because like it didn't seem like it didn't seem like there was a lot of consequences to like messing. I guess it was her. I guess she could have killed his son or whatever.
True.
Here's my favorite inconceivable plot point. I don't know the word I was trying to go for, but it is so fun to try to look at that baby and then try to figure out how old it is, because there's not been that much time between Fast 5 and Fast 8. So, like, we know between Fast 5 and 6, there were 11 months. She says that, like, hey, it was during those 11 months was when the baby was conceived. And then Fast 7 happened pretty close after Fast 6, because, it's like the end of the movie is him shooting or wrecking Han's vehicle, and then Fast 7's all about them. So how much time happens between Fast 7 and Fast 8? And how old is that baby? Could it be that? It's weird. Like,
sounds like about 2 months.
2 months?
Sounds like 2 months.
Maybe that is a massive 2-month-old.
2 to 3 months.
That is all the Vin Diesel testosterone. That is Vin Diesel genes right there.
It was all that Alvin and the Chipmunks it was listening to.
Yeah, that scene might have been one of the best scenes of this.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh yeah, that's
actually my bonus feature, but
yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But that was a fun scene, a lot of action, but something that a lot of people have said before, and I agree with this. Jason Statham is fantastic at being like the serious guy assassin with some humor as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to like a lot of these other action heroes, like Vin Diesel is a perfect example of someone who's like basically solo action. He's not cracking. The best witty one-liners he has is when he says something that's not funny, but because he's saying it's funny, he's like, sometimes the street wins. I laugh at that every single time. Where it's like, I don't got friends, I got family. It's like, it's dumb, and that's why it's funny. But like Statham, he had a perfect, in that scene especially, he had a perfect mix of like killing and being awesome, and then like throwing in some jokey remarks and his acting and stuff like that.
Adorable.
So, yeah, it was fun. So
I'm trying to remember what that her like henchman guy did.
So yeah,
what did he do?
He was basically if you mess up anything, this is going to be the guy that kills your family.
Right.
And then he was with Dom at the end, which that was pretty cool. I loved watching once Dom had the okay that his family was safe. Then he went to full badass mode.
Absolutely.
And like that scene where he kills the Viking dude.
Yeah.
And then joins the rest of the people. And at that point when like he drives up in front and see. That was the thing too, is like, and everyone was super cool that he was back on his side. And I think if they had built it up where they knew from the beginning that something's weird, he didn't betray us, but we have to figure out how to help him, then that would have made a lot more sense, because according to the plot of the movie, everyone was like, he's gone rogue.
It's true.
And then he just drives up next to them and like, oh, cool. He did just save their life, but like, I don't know. Like, they could have done something to make all that more meaningful.
It just doesn't make sense.
But it did look cool.
Yeah, I think it was great cinematically. The movie was really good cinematically. Yep. Like, they definitely had money put into it. The acting was really good. The lines were good. The Rock actually wasn't annoying to me.
Yeah.
Which is so shocking, actually, because he had been so freaking annoying the last 2 movies. So, I mean, everything lined up pretty well. Like, you had all the right ingredients. It's just the fact that the storyline of it, though, was kind of like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this was one of those things that was like, we're putting something out because we know it's going to make money.
Yeah. And it did. I mean, it did make a ton of money.
It made money.
So much money. Now, 9 and 10, that's a bit of a different story. They did not make as much money because I think people, like, after 8 were like, we'll try. And then we went to 9 and they're like,
never mind.
What was that? So, one of my favorite things about the I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite thing about the movie, but I did find it interesting. Was the concept of zombie cars. That technology seems like it could do a lot more damage than a nuke. Like, I think you could use that to, like, do a lot more things in the different countries. But what was interesting to me, and I remember because it was part of the trailer where they mentioned, like, zombie cars. And so that was also 2017 was during the time of a lot of, like, zombie movies. So they were really playing to, like, we know this is what people like to see. How can we do a zombie chase scene with cars? And, like, I didn't know that up until I kind of looked at it before I did this rewatch, but it kind of made it be a better scene with all the chase scenes where, like, you could kind of pretend like those cars were zombies and they were breaking into the houses and they were chasing them like a zombie would in a zombie movie. And, like, I thought that was cool. I thought that was, like, kind of what you're saying, very cinematically good. So
I mean, they did pretty good in that format. I think I just got confused because I wasn't, I didn't think that all of those cars were smart cars.
No.
In the sense of them being able to be controlled like that.
Yeah, some of them were, like, too old to be controlled. It would have been really funny if someone had, like, some, like, really old van.
Yeah.
And it was just in the way. And they were like, well, we can't control that car because it's,
it doesn't have a computer in it.
Well, and so they have to, like, drive around this, or they just run over it because, like, we couldn't control that guy. Like a used car lot that has cars that are completely unusable. And they're like, well, we couldn't do anything there.
But instead, it was literally a mass exodus.
But what I liked about Cipher versus Vin was, or Cipher versus Dom, is, he's all family oriented. He's also, like, big macho. I'm gonna punch you in the face. Where's my wrench? Let me take care of things. And then she's very, like, doesn't trust anyone. Is all computer oriented. I mean, all of her big action moments were her typing, which is kind of weird to think about in a Fast and Furious. There was a massive type off there between her and Ramsey. Like, it was just you watching two hackers, and it was as exciting as that sounds. Like, but like, they are polar opposites. Whereas Vin Diesel and Deckard Shaw. I did it again. Like Dom Toretto and Deckard Shaw. At this point, Vin Diesel is the main character of the movie. Like that. Yeah, it's not even Dominic Toretto. It's just Vin Diesel.
It's just Vin Diesel.
And there's going to be a triple X crossover where he has to fight himself.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense, honestly, because I don't think that I've seen one movie where Vin Diesel hasn't acted like this type of character. He's even the same type of guy in Pacifier.
Yeah. There's gonna be like a multiverse of Vin Diesel where all the characters have to come together. Like everyone, his original Fast family is dead, but then Doctor Strange comes in and is like, "Don't worry, there's one way we can solve this." And then he opens it up, and you have like the Pacifier, Triple X, Riddick, like
into the Dieselverse.
Right? They just show up. He's like. Are they clones? No, they're family.
They're me.
So I love it. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fun movie. At this point, we're watching these movies, and I don't know if I'm ever like, man, that is a life-changing movie.
Yeah, it's like a meme, but an enjoyable meme. I mean, I didn't not enjoy myself. I mean, I said meh about the villain and all of that. It's not like it's not an enjoyable movie, though.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. There's no mid or post credits scene at the end of the movie. There have been rumors that there was supposed to be a scene in the end credits that set up the spin-off movie between Deckard Shaw and Luke Hobbs, but it was cut by Vin Diesel. Imagine that.
Right. So yeah, that was the big rumor. I don't, there's no way to know if these things are confirmed, but like enough people have said it where I'm thinking there might be something to it. Where like. I mean, we're talking. They made the end credit scenes. They finalized the production of everything, and then Vin Diesel saw the last part and made them go back and like refinalize everything without that scene, costing the film a lot of extra money for doing that. But his thing was like, it's not a Rock movie. It's a Vin Diesel movie. And I don't know if, I think on one hand I get it because like he is the star of the franchise and a director, producer. But on the other hand, like they didn't have another end scene. Like that points to more of your
just leave it.
Yeah, just
there.
leave it's fine. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
30 seconds, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it actually was, but it definitely wasn't the length amount of time that Vin Diesel had a cut of the movie.
Right.
Can we just share?
Yeah.
Share your crayons.
That is a perfect like transition
Segue.
to The Rock versus Vin Diesel. Can we just share? The answer is no. No, they cannot.
They can't share their beef testosterone.
So we've been talking about over the past few episodes, because from 5 on we've been talking about that there's beef between Vin Diesel and The Rock, and 8 is when it's really like formed. Like we saw it within their characters, but 5 they seem to get along. 6 there wasn't as much of, or rather it was 7. What was the one where he shot down a thing with it was 7 was where he was in the hospital the whole time, and then, yeah, so he wasn't in as much there, and then 6 he was more into. But they say, you can confirm this when you watch the movie, the Vin Diesel is what I was about to say. Vin Diesel and The Rock are never in the same scene. If you ever see him close to the same scene, one of them's using a body double. They legitimately at this point could not work together. So
Wow.
I have some information about their beef. I did a little bit of a YouTube deep dive.
I'm excited for this.
First I thought it would be fun to ask the Kiora, just ask the internet and get random people's responses, which was more fun to me than the actual. These are what a couple people said. So I asked the question, why do Vin and The Rock despise each other now? And this is the first response I saw. Because they are man children with massive egos, especially Vin Diesel. So when they reached the 5th movie and brought Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to play the part of the big meathead federal agent, it seemed like a great fit. Of course, there was a scene where Johnson and Diesel needed to fight, and let's just say that when a 6'4" behemoth is going against a 5'11" tough guy, the odds don't really favor the smaller dude. Vin Diesel's ego didn't allow him to appear to get punked by Johnson, and a lot of camera tricks were used to make them look like they were roughly the same size. Which I remember when we were talking about 5, we were talking about how awkward that fight scene was, and we couldn't completely pinpoint why it looked so weird, but now that's a good point. Like, it looked weird because they made them look even size, and our brains are like, that doesn't seem right. So
it wasn't.
The problem is anyone with eyes can see that Vin Diesel is not anywhere near as big as Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, God.
Their egos, however, are both roughly the same size. At roughly the size of the moon, their egos don't fit on set together. And eventually, they both had clauses appended to their contract, which I think he might have meant amended the contract or put in their contract, whatever, which remains for all the movies, it seems, that stated that they cannot seem to lose in a fight on screen. And not only do they have those in the contract, but so does Jason Statham. Like any big action hero,
he can't.
Yeah, they can never lose a fight, because it goes against the action hero character as a actor that they're going. So as a result, all the fights always end in, like The Rock saved someone. Ugh. And so that's how he quote unquote ended the fight, or like something else happens that interrupts it. Which is so dumb, because like a great storytelling device would be if Vin Diesel lost the fight to Deckard Shaw, and the second fight ended up winning it because he had some kind of personal growth.
Right.
But Vin Diesel's like, I got all the personal growth I need. I don't need none of that.
So you've got like 3 guys in one movie that
can't lose
a freaking fight. Are you kidding me right now?
Another comment, again, the question being, why do Vin and The Rock despise each other now? Said, these 2 Hollywood heavyweights have been throwing verbal haymakers at each other for years. And the reason behind their hatred? Well, it's as clear as mud. Some say it's due to jealousy. Others say it's a clash of the egos. And still others suggest it's all just a publicity stunt. I used to think that. But the one thing is for sure, it's better than any soap opera out there. Their feud has been documented extensively, and it's hard to keep up with who said what, who did what, and who started it all. but it's safe to say they are never going to be best buds, and we are all the better for it. It's like a real-life Batman versus Superman, but instead of capes and tights, we get bald heads and bulging biceps. I love that comment.
Ew.
So, okay, or not.
I didn't like that description.
Bald heads and bulging biceps.
That's the one. That's
next time someone asks me to describe Mr. Clean, I'm like bald head and bulging biceps. Here's what we have for like as far as Instagram posts and stuff from the actors that leads us to wonder, like, this is how all the conclusions are being drawn about what their beef is.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of speculation, but there's also like things that these guys have actually said and done where you're like, that might be true. During the filming of The Fate and the Furious, here's an Instagram post made by The Rock.
Uh-oh.
It's a good start. There's no other franchise that gets my blood boiling more than this one, Johnson wrote. My female co-stars are always amazing, and I love them. My male co-stars, however, are different stories. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. He then added, the ones that don't are too chicken shit to do anything about it. Anyway, candy asses. I feel like he's The Rock now. like, when you watch this movie next April and it seems like I'm not acting in the same some of these scenes and my blood is legit boiling, you're right. That seems so professional.
So probably, okay, I got you. This is my my predicted context of the movie then. That moment when he was like, yeah, he went rogue. When he told the whole team that, and he pretty much is really trying to get them to understand that he hates him pretty much. In that very moment, his eyes told me, I hate this guy.
He was drawing on emotion.
He's rogue.
Someone was like, pretend like you hate Vin Diesel. He's like, I don't need to pretend. And maybe the biggest thing that pissed him off about the scene was like, I got in a car wreck and he got out. My fictitious character lost a battle.
Sorry, buddy.
And then Vin later posts, I think some of these things maybe, well, excuse me. Sorry, that's not Vin. I think some of these things may be blown out of proportion. I don't think that was his intention. I know he appreciates how much I work this franchise. In my house, he's Uncle Dwayne. Diesel added that protecting the franchise extends to his relationship with John Sex. John Sex is what I said. That I'll have to unpack that later with a therapist. No. He says, I protect the franchise. I protect everybody, including Dwayne. I protect Dwayne more than he'll ever know. And it doesn't even matter. He doesn't have to know, but he appreciates it. He knows it. Dwayne has only got one Vin in his life. Dwayne Johnson only has one big brother in this film world, and that's me. And then Johnson's response to that was, I have one big brother, and it's my half brother, and that's it.
Wow.
And then later in 2021, so those all are like 2017-ish when the movie came out, Vin releases an Instagram post where he's trying to get The Rock to join like the Fast 10 universe.
Yeah.
You know? Because he wasn't in 9. We'll see that next month. He says, my little brother Dwayne. Good start. The time has come. The world awaits the finale of Fast 10. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. This is not a holiday that goes by that they and you don't send well wishes. But the time has come. The Rock's response is, I was very surprised by Vin's recent post. This past June, when Vin and I actually connected, not over social media, I told him directly and privately that I would not be returning to the franchise. I was firm yet cordial in my words and said that I will always be supportive of the cast and always rooting for the franchise to be successful, but there is no chance I would return. He said, I privately spoke with my partners at Universal as well, all of which were very supportive as they understood the problem. He says, and then he said, I didn't like that he brought up his children in the post as well as Paul Walker's death.
Yeah.
Come on. That's fair. Yeah. Leave him out of it. We had spoken months about this and came to a clear understanding. My goal all along was to end my amazing journey with this incredible Fast and Furious franchise with gratitude and grace. But then, if you've seen Fast 10, he's in the post-credit scene. June 2023, he wrote, despite us having our differences, me and Vin, we've been like brothers for years. And despite our differences, when you lead with, number one, resolve, but also you think about the future and plans that are bigger than ourselves. Then he says, Daddy's got to go to work. And then,
my God.
then they also promised him a standalone Hobbs movie.
I cannot do this.
Right?
I'm done.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah, give a dog a bone. Thanks.
Here's where I'm at with all it. No one's asking for my opinion, but you all at the Quarter Mile podcast, you're gonna get it.
I'm asking for your opinion.
Here it is. First of all, I get that this is Vin Diesel's franchise, and he's like a producer and a director. So if The Rock is like, this is what we should do, and Vin says like, no, even as dumb as I think it is, if it's ego based, you know what? He's the boss. We all have bosses that ask us to do stupid stuff, and we got to do it anyway because we're at work.
Right.
So it's crazy to me that throughout the franchise of these movies, they've been bickering, they've been fighting. Vin wants it done this way. The Rock wants it done this way. And then it always ends with like, so they had such a big beef in Fast 8, and it resulted with Hobbs and Shaw getting a spin-off movie. Mm-hmm. They had such big beef before Fast 10, and the way they got The Rock to come back was they were making a Hobbs movie for just The Rock. And it's like, so he's causing problems at work, and he's such a big deal in stardom that is actually getting him more work. Like, I would love to have a job where if I pitched a fit every time something happened that I didn't like, they were like, well, how about a promotion? How about...
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I'm kind of confused about that entire dynamic because this whole thing's just so confusing to me. Because, like, Vin Diesel's the boss, but is he really the boss? Is he the guy that's like the boss?
Yeah.
Like, he can fire The Rock. So then why is he just dealing with it then?
Yeah. I imagine
it's the stardom.
a pretty big boss, but like I don't know if he has the firing capability. But also like that might look really bad for him if he fires The Rock, and then they go public with like, "Hey, do you know why I'm not in this movie? Because Vin Diesel fired me."
Yeah, it's just all dumb.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know. It's the social media posts for me.
right. These are grown
Honestly,
men
I think
acting like high school girls.
That's actually what has solidified this confusion in my brain because they are acting like little weenies. What are you guys doing? You're 13-year-olds.
Yeah, their egos definitely are. But it's interesting because nowadays we see The Rock in similar situations with other movies where like he was like we talked about this before, but in Black Adam at the end it should have been a post-credit scene with him and Shazam, but he's like the only one who's worthwhile to fight Black Adam is Superman.
I mean, clearly we know who the ego problem is.
Right? So it's when you look at all the things, you know what? I think the true root of the problem is Fast 8 was the first movie without Mia, and she was the one that was holding them all together. And maybe that's, so you can't disprove that theory. There's not a lot of proof to prove the theory, but you can't disprove it. So, so let's talk villain rankings.
Yeah, Mia is my number one.
Mia's number one villain. This movie was so great without her.
So great. Vicious.
So yeah, where are we putting Cipher on this, Bailey?
I'd say probably number one.
Okay. Also, like, what is that sound effect?
I don't know. I'm trying.
It sounded like we were stepping on a manatee's tail. Is what
I'm trying to think because I don't know if she's actually better than Deckard. Actually.
Yep. For those of you listening or watching, I mean, if you're watching, you see it on the screen. If you're listening, Deckard is currently Bailey's number one.
Yeah.
In life, but also in villains.
Honestly, though, I think, she'll just have to be my number two forever.
Okay. I'm sure she doesn't mind. She's fine with that. That's still pretty high up there. We are at like 9, 10 villains.
What did she do besides, kill somebody?
Well, here's the thing. If we're so I'm gonna put her as my number one.
Right.
But I realize that when we look at F9 and Fast X, she kind of downgrades as a villain. But in this movie, we are led to believe that she was in charge of Owen Shaw from 6.
Right.
We're in charge, and Owen Shaw was in charge of Braga from 4.
Right.
So then she was in charge of Gioconde from Seven.
Yes.
So twice Vin Diesel's character has like intruded on her business.
Right.
And so she's been like the overarching villain in at least 3 of the movies. And then in this one, she does like her whole thing is like she does control him to like practically get away with what he almost completed, the job.
And she definitely sexually assaults him. But
Also,
whatever.
yeah. Also, HR could have a field day with. I'm gonna put her as number 1.
Okay.
Just because the idea, I think they ruined her character. But I think, however, if by the end of the series it turns out she was in charge of all the villain stuff, I would be totally cool with that.
Bad Mamma Jamma.
Her or Mr. Nobody. I'm okay with either of them being the main villain.
Both of them.
So, I'll start with the movie rankings, and I'm gonna put it so in between 6 and 4 for me, which puts it in. So 7 is my first, 5th is my second is my third, 6 is my fourth. So that makes 8 my 5th. So and then 4th, 1 and 3 are under that. So it's a mid movie. Like I enjoyed it, but honestly, like it didn't really pique my interest until about midway into it. Before I was like, okay, this is fine. So.
I'm probably gonna put it between 2 and 5.
Ooh, okay, so it's number 3 for you.
Yeah, because I get Jason Statham.
Yeah. That's your man crush. Man crush Monday.
I was Vin Diesel until I realized that he acted like a little baby. So
that's right. He looks so much older.
It was also before
8.
Jason Statham entered
That's
the
true.
chat.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Swapsies.
Yeah, it's okay. You can swap them. Sorry, gentlemen, if you're listening to this podcast, sorry, Vin Diesel. Don't like write us hate mail because you're like, he can't be more manlier than me. You're like, So, and with movie rankings, by the time we get to 10, we can totally start. It's weird, by the way. What's interesting about our rankings compared to everyone else's rankings?
Totally different.
Yeah. Also, like we're giving 2 too much credit. Like people are like, why is that so high on it? It's like because it was a fun movie.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was enjoyable. It was fine.
It was funny.
Yeah, it had Eva Mendes.
I think it was just the fact that to me it was the funniest movie out of all of them. It was the comedic effect.
Yeah, it was a more lighthearted movie, especially than this one.
Yeah.
This one and 4 are the darkest ones, I think.
Yeah.
So let's talk Bailey's best bits.
Bailey's best bits. Let's get it. So this is called Bailey's most predictable. These are the scenes that I find to be the most predictable moments. So you've got one with the Hobbs and Shaw being taken out of prison by Mr. Nobody, being that Mr. Nobody was over that whole thing. Then you got 2, the car zombie scene, where she's controlling all of the cars somehow.
Yeah, that makes sense. With hacking.
By hacking them with all their computers in 2017, as they do.
One guy was typing, controlling all of them. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, makes sense. I didn't see one Tesla.
No.
I'm just kidding. Where's my Cybertruck? I'm just kidding. And then you've also got the third one. Dom's carpoon scene is what I call it. Carpoon.
Oh, yeah, when they were like holding him down.
The carpoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they were all shooting their harpoons at him, and I'm like, we've been through this before.
I'm gonna pick the carpoon scene. Final answer.
Ugh. Yeah.
Killing it. So.
I mean, it's just because the whole thing is about Dom, pretty much. The whole movie is about Dom, and he's
the Dom and the Furious.
The Dom and the Furious.
Dominating Fast and Furious.
Yeah, so he's obviously able to get out of that
World
whole
domination.
Thing. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, okay, this is like actually
Jeffrey Dahmer.
I have a couple bonus features.
Oh, I love it.
I said, obviously they kill Elena. Come
Obviously.
on, you come on. You knew that was gonna happen. Somebody's got to die so that he can fill his stupid void with a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Gross.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Family.
Fill a stupid void with more family.
I'm just explaining that,
I love that.
They have people that's gone, so they have to fill it with a baby.
We're that age,
because what's gonna happen? Because you can't have a love triangle when he just got married and just got off of his little vacation and stuff.
Can you imagine? I wish they did another another scene where, so, you know, at the beginning of the movie, Letty's like, I want a baby. And then he finds out later in the movie that Elena and him had a baby. And then he brings the baby to Letty. He's like, hey, you remember how you said you wanted a baby?
There you go. There you go. I got this for you. I did this for you.
How old is it? 6 months. He looks 14. That's dominating testosterone is what that is.
Torettosterone.
Yeah, right.
Sounds like a pizza. So
Gross.
Then you got my bonus features of Jason Statham's best scenes. Yay, Shaw. So you get the prison break and then the airplane baby. What do you think is the best one that I liked? Airplane baby or prison break?
I think it's the airplane baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one.
That was the best scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, definitely.
If anybody tries to disagree with me,
you're wrong. Objectively.
I don't care.
So, I agree. I love the scene. Was like, was that you who crapped your pants or the other guy?
He's like, eh. He's like, yeah.
Or he's like, did you just try to shoot a baby?
I loved them. It was great. And the baby was great. Very charismatic baby. Good job, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where that baby came from.
What's that baby doing right now?
What's that baby doing right now?
Someone IMDb right now, see who played the baby and if they're still acting.
On the baby.
That's funny.
And that's on baby.
Love it. All right, so that was awesome. Great regular bits and then great like bonus bits, Bailey's bonus bits. Yeah. Doesn't that sound weird? Like in hindsight, I should have come up with a better name than Bailey's best bits, but we've held on to it for 8 episodes now, and we're gonna keep holding on to it. And I hope if you ever open up a restaurant, it's just appetizers, you call it Bailey's Best Bits.
I didn't even think about it like that for a second until now. Until you said the extra bits.
Yeah, extra bits. Yeah. Thanks for the extra bits, Bailey. Hashtag Bailey's extra bits. Nope. Hey, so why don't you tell us about the quarter mile spotlight?
So the quarter mile spotlight is this, you see this gym creep that me and Drew both have on. It is D&D Apparel.
Dungeons and Dragons. No.
Not Dungeons and Dragons. It's the very first gym wear brand of its kind. The only gym wear brand that makes clothing for those days when the headphones just aren't enough. Some days you may go to the gym to socialize, and there are a million other brands out there to suit the occasion. The Do Not Disturb brand for you gym creepos. It's so that you don't disturb us or those people when we're working out, of course. The fitness apparel is here with unique, flattering, and functional attire for those days when you just go to the gym just for you. And D&D will be at the Germantown Festival and the Memphis Fitness Festival. Those are upcoming events, so look into that. And the thoughts on the Fast and Furious franchise from them says it is quite the prolific franchise. That is really
generous.
Good. Yeah, way to
so prolific.
That. It is very prolific.
You know, I was thinking about this. I make fun of the Fast and Furious all the time, and I know plenty of people hate on it, like, oh, such dumb movies, but there is a lot of prolificness, if that's the right word of it. 2001, that movie defined car culture.
Right.
This movie was the first American movie filmed in Cuba.
It's got a lot of culture in it.
Yeah, like there's more prolificity.
Yeah.
Than we oftentimes get, and it
evolves this so much.
8 and 7 like set records for making how much money, like they like making a ton of money, and then they broke their 7 set records, and then 8 broke the records. And so it's like they're pretty good at what they do.
Exactly.
So
they know they've got so many. They have more movies than most franchises at this point.
And that's a great thing. We hope they keep going till I'm ready for a Fast 107.
Oh my God. Never mind.
Yeah. So I
won't be alive by then, and neither will you.
No, but our AI will have our
Our
likeness.
AI grandbabies will be alive.
And it'll
then.
still have AI versions of us doing podcasts of it. I love it.
Yes.
Should we call it? Should we call it a night?
No. Yeah. Well, what should we continue to talk about?
Well, let's see here. We covered Fast 8, which was our main objective.
Is that all?
I think that's it. Yeah,
All
I think we knocked out all the things.
Alrighty. That was the
unless
quarter
you had
mile spotlight.
Yeah, unless you had any other random like.
Well,
what do
one
you want
last
to
thing. Okay, one last thing. We've got to plug our socials one more time. Don't forget, we are the Quarter Mile Podcast on most everything except TikTok. Take out the and just put Quarter Mile Podcast. And also, don't forget of September 21st, we will be at High Tone in Memphis.
Correct. That's right.
I'm so out of it right now. I'm so tired. I have not been getting sleep. That's also your extra fact.
Fun facts with Bailey. That would have been such a nicer
Fun
one.
facts with Bailey. No sleep at night. Woo. Anyways, for all you summer loving people that also can't sleep during the hot days, y'all have a lovely one with y'all's trailblazing tires on them roads into the sunset.
Yeah.
Live your life 1/4 mile at a time.
See ya.